over the years, we've had some very special guests here on Twins Live, but never before a winner of a Congressional Medal of Honor.
Recipient.
Recipient, yes. Thank you, Tim. We are thrilled, indeed, to have Clint Romesha, a good friend of Tim Laudner's, with us today. Welcome, Tim.
Thanks, Tom. And we just celebrated the 4th of July.
Yep.
In a couple of weeks, or less than a couple of weeks, the Minnesota Twins are going to celebrate Armed Forces Day on July 23rd. Here at the ballpark, Clint, you've been a member of the Armed Services, the Armed Forces. You've represented our country in Afghanistan. First of all, let's talk about how we met. We met on a pheasant hunt out in South Dakota. Ken Herbeck and I have been privileged and honored to spend time with soldiers out in South Dakota. We met there on that pheasant hunt.
Yep, about 2 years ago now.
2 years ago.
You guys finally invited me after 2 years.
We finally invited you to the ballpark. It took 2 years. That's typical. You were stationed, Staff Sergeant. I read the book. You were stationed in northeast Afghanistan.
Yes.
At Command Outpost Keating.
Well, it was one of those areas that were, as we call, less than ideal. Outpost Keating sat at the bottom of a valley surrounded by mountains on all 4 sides. At the time, we were the farthest northern troops in all of Afghanistan, and on October 3rd, 2009, 52 Americans that held that outpost got hit and essentially overran by about 400 Taliban fighters. In the first hour, they breached our wire, was in our perimeter, and after 15 hours of fighting back, we were able to recapture, regain control of the outpost, and push them off. At the end of the day, we ended up losing 8 great men, 8 great heroes that never made it home. But because of their sacrifice, we're here today. We're enjoying a wonderful ball game here in July, watching the Twins play. And if it wasn't for the sacrifice of those great heroes, we wouldn't be here doing the great things we're doing right now.
Isn't it? I think it's just amazing, Tom, to think that we as ball players, and we get to spend time with these guys, and we talk about camaraderie. They talk about camaraderie. We talk about teamwork. They talk about teamwork. But that's where the similarities end, in the fact that when you sacrifice for your country, we maybe sacrifice some family time, but sacrificing for your country is a whole different deal.
It's a decision we all make and take our different paths, and that's what one of the greatest things I finally learned joining the military at 18 was the greatest thing I ever got given was the freedom from just being born here. And it doesn't matter if you join the Army and go overseas and serve. It really matters if you give back to your country in some way of service. You
were awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for your actions on that day in October of 2009. What does the Congressional Medal of Honor, being a recipient of the Congressional Medal of Honor, mean to you?
For me, it's one of those never in a million years that I think I'd meet another Medal of Honor recipient. The rarity of you receiving the medal even alive is, exponentially just amazing. There's only 71 of us alive right now. There's been less than 6,500 given out in the entire history of our armed forces. So for me, when I got told I would be receiving the medal, I didn't see why. I just did a job that day. There were 8 other guys that sacrificed everything, and it's their medal. It's not mine. I might have got selected to wear it, but that medal represents all the men and women that have served this country from the start, currently right now, and unfortunately in future conflicts. That's theirs, and I'm honored to be able to wear it, but that's all I do.
You wrote a book about your experiences on that day in 2009. It's a book entitled Red Platoon, and we talked about last fall at the hunt. I asked you, I said, did you finish your book? And you told me yes. I downloaded it right away, and I read it. And I can remember, Clint, when the Saturday morning that I finished reading the book, and I sent you a text and I said, I finished the book and I don't even know what to say. And about 5 minutes later, you responded with a text that said, I'm glad you enjoyed the book. Well, enjoyed, I don't think was the right word. It was more like I was awed, I was shocked, I was inspired. This is not a fluff book. This book, it helps to change my perspective, and I've told all you guys that when Ken Herbeck and I get an opportunity to spend time with you, it's a life-changing experience. It's a lifetime's worth of perspective that we get a reminder every year that 365 days later that we pull into the driveway and get to spend time with you guys. Tell us a little bit about the book.
The book was about a 2-year process, and what I really think makes it a phenomenal read is, in that 2 years, traveled around the country interviewing the guys I was there with. One thing I didn't want to do is write a book that said Clint Romesha did this that day or that day. You can look up my Wikipedia page and read my citation, find out what I did. It was those 52 other guys that were there that day and their perspective to give them, you know, the congratulations for everything they did to make sure I came out alive, to give them, you know, the nod and the attention and credit for the great heroics they committed. And to have that perspective is, like I said, it was a chaotic 15-hour day. Certain things that I thought I remembered correctly, someone 2 feet away remembers it totally different. So it was a great process to just come together and put it together and be so well received.
You got your family here at the ballpark today. I have to ask you, who's your favorite Twins player? And don't say me or Ken Herbeck.
You know, you got me on a tough one there. You know,
well,
I mean, you're just
today,
taking away everything that.
After
I'm
today,
excited to see what Granite's going to do, that new prospect we got coming up.
Yes, indeed.
Tim and Clint, sure enjoyed the conversation. An honor to have you with us today. By the way, July 23rd, Armed Forces Day here at Target Field, as we celebrate and thank all the men and women who serve our country every day. We will appreciate them forever.